Alright guys, we are finally here. The moment is at hand. We finally have an adult Ultimate Gohan leader. And if you guys don't know, Ultimate Gohan slash Beast Gohan, my favorite character. You can literally see it in the backdrop, how many Beast Gohans, Ultimate Gohans are there. And yeah, I am super excited to crack into this deck and see if it can be my national choice. But with that being said, we're going to go over everything that makes this archetype work, the good and the bad. And then we're going to look at other sets worth of support that kind of just retroactively are synergistic with this. And then if you want a deeper dive about where it falls in the format, going into nationals and eventually my own deck list on it, as well as Patreon testing nights preparing for nets, all you gotta do, go down in the description, join the Patreon at the Galactic Patrol tier or higher, and then you're gonna be part of all of this and future giveaways. So the last thing I want to say before we get into this thing is that I am doing my side channel, Universe X, Dragon Ball themed. We do Sparking Zero content, Daima content, Legends. When the manga comes back, we'll do that, Doken. And if you want to just support there, we're almost at 1,000 subscribers, so every little bit counts, and I'd much appreciate it. But with that being said, let's get into this breakdown. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is go over this leader. Great artwork, looks super smug. When attacking, draw one card. Awaken, 4 or less, yeah, draw a card, and then you flip this card over. Then his backside is very, very much so a master cog, which most of these deck list leaders are for set, like, 4. They're not doing anything inherently broken in vacuum, like Bardock, like Blue Vegeta, like Androids. They're just actually good when it comes to their archetypes. But when attacking, draw one card, activate main once per turn, discard one card from your hand. During this turn, the next time you use an extra with both Sand and Earthling and its special traits from your hand, reduce the cost by 2. Now, I will point out right now, while we do have 1 or 2 cards, no, sorry, I think we have 3 cards, 3 extra cards that are Sand and Earthling before this set. All of them are 1 cost, and this doesn't reduce something by blue, this reduces something by 2. So you will not be turning anything free, you'll just be reducing cards that have more than 3 or more cost that are coming in this set. So we can just get that out of the way right now. So we're going to talk about the focus cards, which are the cards that actually get touched by this effect. And first we have Galactic Donut. I will let you guys know, just like with the UI Goku one, I will not be reading the full effects or going that deep into them because we already have a full video that came out today about all these effects. So I'm just going to kind of talk about their synergy with the deck. This is going to be reduced down to 1 with Gohan's effect. It's going to break even because you're going to discard a card for Gohan's effect and you're going to use this card, so that's 2 cards out of your hand, but you're going to draw 2 cards. So it's going to break even and you're going to choose something and say it can't attack. Now sometimes getting rid of an opponent's card is like, it takes your whole thing. You're paying 3 for Absolute Lightning. You're paying 6 for Zeno. But if they don't have a lot on board, if you're just looking at an 8-drop Broly, Galactic Donut is an excellent way just to look at it, say, no, you can't attack, and then maybe let them play a second one and then Zeno 2 of them. Instead of having to Zeno the first one, only for them to play another one, you have to play another 6, essentially blanking your turn. So this is really, really good when it comes to that. Next, you have Amazing Hitting Potential. At first, I wasn't quite sure about this card, but the more I looked at it, the more I was like, okay, this is actually nice because it extends the threshold of 2 very, very good removal cards, that being Gotenks, and I think even better when it comes to removal, the SR Gohan that came in set 3. So you're going to be able to turn something from a 4 to a 3 cost and then bottom deck what used to be a 4 cost and a 3 cost, which could be somebody's Jiren in a 3 cost. It could be somebody's SS4 Goku SCR in a 3 cost or less. Very, very, very good. Amazing Hidden Potential is actually a solid card, and I will be testing it. And then you've got the card that really makes this deck work, Overwhelming Confidence. The mill 3, draw 1, revive a 4 or less is going to still revive the same targets that Amazing Potential could, but it's also going to be able to revive the Vegito, which can be cracked for 2. That's going to bring out either set 2 Secret Rare Vegito or set 4 Secret Rare Vegito, which is the boss card of this deck. Now you have got the next part I want to move on to, which are valid revive targets. And yes, you can revive a lot in this deck, but I'm only going to really talk about the 4 cost because you want to look at the upper threshold. You could just play a 3 cost. The thing is, if it doesn't cost more than the 3 that you spent to play the field card or the revive card, why are you playing Overwhelming Confidence to revive it? So 4 costs are the only option we're looking at here. This Gotenks is cool. He brings back he comes out, he can be 35k. He's going to self-mill 2, and then he's also going to bottom deck a battle card with 3 costs or less. Now, this card is not very good if brought out by Overwhelming Confidence because of what it can't hit, but I think if you bring it out with Amazing Hidden Potential, it's solid enough bottom decking a 4-drop and being a 30k, 35k threat. Now, moving to the next one, you have this Gotenks. I think the Gotenks from the starter deck is a solid target because you're going to always get your cards back. If you play Amazing Hidden Potential, you're going to, I guess, be break even. But if you play Overwhelming Confidence to bring this back, because of the draw one on the effect, you're actually going to be +1 while recycling 2 10Ks or whatever you need. I think this is fine. It's a cool target. Then you've got Gohan from set 3. I think this is an amazing target because you can bring it out in bottom deck things. It's removal that you can bring out for 1 cheaper. I do think it's better brought off of Hidden Potential, Amazing Hidden Potential over Overwhelming Confidence, because you up the threshold and you can remove very problematic cards like Jiren, SR, and freaking Super Saiyan 4 Goku. So I think that's where its value lies. And then you've got this Vegito. Obviously, you're bringing this off of Overwhelming Confidence, and you're cracking it to either play the 5-cost Vegito Secret Rare or the 6-cost Vegito Secret Rare. So this is like a main card. It should, if you're playing Gohan, this has to be in the deck. Otherwise, you could just be playing another leader. And then through extension with this, you're looking at the original Secret Rare Vegito Blue, and you're looking at the new Super Saiyan Vegito. And that's just because this Vegito, 4-drop Vegito, will go into both of those, allowing you to pick and choose what boss card you're doing. If you don't want to mill yourself out, which could very well be a thing in this deck, you're likely going to bring out the 5-cost OG, or you're going to bring out the 6-cost and just not use its effect. But once you have multiples of the 6-costs on board, you can pepper your opponent with 40Ks and 50K swings, which is likely just going to close out the game. Now, we're going to talk about some things that are super abusable, because this deck has a lot of abusable cards. The first one is Peel Off. Peel Off is like it's never been before in any deck. There are times where in a blue deck, you can have Peel Off in hand and look at your trash and your drop and realize that you have no good targets. You're like, wow, this Peel Off isn't, it's not dead because it's Peel Off. It can always grab itself back. But where are my Peel Off targets? No, not in this deck. You will always have good Peel Off targets. And on top of having good Peel Off targets, you're going to be able to constantly pick Peel Off up with Peel Off. All you need to see is 1 Peel Off in hand, and you know you're going to see the rest of your Peel Offs because you're going to be putting cards in the drop like crazy. Then you've got Videl. Videl, of course, is at top form here as well. If she hits the drop, you can't really bring her back, and that is kind of an issue. But maxing out with 4 Videls, you just need to see 1 or 2. She will always be live. She will get mileage in this deck like she's never gotten before, I promise you. Then you're going over to Son Gohan Adolescence, which is part of the Recycle package. This dude is, we talked about him before. He's going to be able to bring back your recursion cards. So the cool thing is, because of his conditions, he'll bring back all the cards that you can abuse with Gohan. He can't bring back Sickle, he can't bring back Lightning, but he will bring back Overwhelming Confidence, Amazing Hidden Potential, and Galactic Donut, which is kind of what you need. If you feel like your hand doesn't, by the time you're going to recycle, you might be at a board state where your hand is not big enough to interfere with Piccolo's effect. The other thing, though, is Videl can recycle this card. Videl cannot recycle Piccolo. So even though this has steeper conditions, I do think, and a more restrictive target, I do think that you are kind of maximizing what you can do when you have this card in their deck, because Videl can get it back. And then on the same point, I do have Piccolo in here still, because if you don't care about Videl recycling it, Piccolo is probably the superior card because he picks up any extra cards. So you can get your Gallic Guns if you play them, your Sickles, your Lightnings, depending on what you're doing. But he just has to have 7 of your cards in hand, which can still happen. So I do think that Piccolo could still have a place. I just know that Son Gohan is recyclable. Next, we have the Gotenks cards. We got more Gotenks cards than ever, and at this point, you can't ignore that Gotenks, Trunks, and Goten are their own packages / engines, and so we do have to talk about that. They added this new Gotenks. He's just Self-Awakener that helps you filter, draw a card, discard a card, get through your deck, right? But we've also got this next Gotenks, the Skinny Gotenks, and the Skinny Gotenks is going to be able to recycle or revive, actually, Gotens and Trunkses. And there's a lot of potential with this card. The 10 cost threshold is weird to me because it happens mid-game. You can easily get 10 cards in your trash by turn 3, 4, and definitely 5. However, when this happens, you're likely to be playing Overwhelming Confidence and then bringing out boss cards, not playing a Gotenks. So say about that what you will. If you did a more mill-heavy deck with unrestricted mill, like you're running 4 Kabitos and stuff, you're probably going to be able to play this on curve and be fine with it. I was just finding that with what I was testing so far, this was clashing because I would rather just go into my boss cards, but we'll see. There's a lot of potential here. The point is, though, when you're actually using this effect, my lord, homeboy pops off. Like, straight up pops off. Like, you could bring back the Self-Awakening Trunks and the Draw 1 Gohan, and you can sequence their effects because you get to choose which one activates first. So 7 cards or less in hand, I'll draw one from Goten. Then I will take a life from Trunks, and you just +2 to your hand. In the other end, if you don't want to awaken, like if you're playing this in Vegeta, right? Or you're playing this in Gohan, you just don't want to awaken yet, you can bring back a 1-drop Trunks, and you can bring back the 2-drop Goten, and you can just draw 1 from 7 or less cards in hand, and then draw 1 from the 1-drop, and you just literally plus. This is just great. It's great. You went down 1 from your hand, you popped this guy, you went up +1, and you added 2 little things to your board, and if they don't get rid of them, they're counter power or combo power for next turn. So I do think that this guy has a lot of plays you can do, but I'm not quite sure how I feel about him. Then you got Piccolo searching out Gotenks and extra cards, so you do have the ability to kind of snatch that off. It's going to add a lot of synergy. Like I said, as of this set, you can no longer ignore that Gotenks is essentially his own deck, and we can actually make that a thing. And now we've got the targets, because we have more targets than ever for Gotenks. You have Trunks Youth. He's the cantrip that we all know. He's the Earthling, so you can recycle him with Pilaf, Videl, things like that. We've got Sun Goten, and Sun Goten is important to me because now that SR Trunks is out, you have to have outs in your deck to the 2-drop Trunks. You cannot let 2-drop Trunks stay on the board so they can pay their energy marker and 3 energy for SS4 Goku, and you can't remove them with Sickle or anything until you deal with the Trunks. If they play the Trunks, you play the Sun Goten. Sun Goten bounces the Trunks, and next turn they either have to replay the Trunks or they have to play their SCR Raw, and you can remove that. This is something that I'm giving you guys. I was going to say that for Patreon, but I just wanted to let you guys know there are valid nuggets on the Patreon. Like I've been in the tank thinking about all these things, but this card I think will be better than ever. You got Trunks Youth from the starter deck. This guy is a self-awakener and should not be discounted. And then you also are going to have Sun Goten from the structure deck. I don't really like this guy as much, but he also is another option to help self-awaken, and he can bounce threats like Trunks. But at the same time, you know what you can also do? Buy cards from one of my 2 sponsors, which is why we're going to get to the sponsors now real quick, and then we're going to keep going in the video. All right, y'all, taking a quick moment to shout out the sponsors for this video. First up is Mystic TCG, a store based in Missouri that sells all sorts of TCG products, even more than what you see featured here on this page. They also buy singles, collections, and prize cards, so make sure you actually catch them out in their store in Missouri at an event, or even on their Facebook, just to be able to see the events here, but also ask them what they're up to and what they're looking for in terms of vending. You can also use the code UNIXTCG to get discounts off your pre-orders as well as orders, so make sure you get your TCG product while it's hot. Then you have Eclipse Cards and Hobby based out of Texas, and if that sounds familiar, they did sponsor me with a box of Fusion World Set 1. But as you can see on this page, there is a plethora of TCG products that they are actually having for sale at their establishment. You can also even buy things that aren't just TCG products. As you can see on the screen right here, they hold their own locals, they hold their own events, and they are going out to more and more events. You can actually check their Facebook to see their schedule, as well as call and ask about their vending list. And at the checkout for their website, you can use the code UNI10X to actually get percentages off your pre-orders or your orders. So go check it out as well. And we're always up to all sorts of things in Universe X, so you can go down the description and check the link tree to find out about my other channels, my Twitch, or any other avenues that I'm creating content on. But if you want to go the extra mile, you can always go down to any description on any video and find my Amazon affiliate links. These products here will differ from video to video to cater to the audience in question, but it's just very easy to see something that you may like or be interested in, open it up, and choose the style and or color that'll work for you. All proceeds will give kickbacks to the channel, so it'll be some direct support, and I'll always appreciate the help from you guys. So with that being said, let's get back to the video. As always, you can use my codes in the description to get the best deals from either Eclipse or Mystic TCG, so make sure you know where to go for the best TCG deals and selection. Now let's get back to the breakdown. So moving on, you've got this Sun Goten. He has the 7 or fewer cards in hand threshold, but he's going to be able to draw you a card. Like I said, there are a lot of little wombo combo plays, and he's a 10k, so he's a valid option if you're trying to run full Gotenks. And then you've got this Trunks. He's going to be able to bounce a 3 or less and return it to hand if you have 10 or more cards in drop. I don't really like this card because while he goes neutral with leaders, and he has some really cool art, the 3 cost is a really weird space to put in hand. There's a lot of good into play or when attacking 3 costs, and I don't want to give my opponent the option to reuse these cards. I just like to bottom deck them and get rid of them. So this card's a little low on the totem pole for me. Then we've got this Gotenks, who's also going to be a 20k, and he's going to boost your leader by 5k, allowing you to have that kind of Bardock-esque feel swinging with your leader. I'm down for this, and in Vegeta it can be even more devastating because you're going to go up to 40k. Well, if your leader effect, effect, and this is going to allow you to potentially just, you know, do some things. I know I'm talking about Vegeta. That's going to be a whole separate video, but in Gohan, I think it's like hit or miss. I don't think either the Trunks or the Goten in that cycle are that good for him. Then you got Mighty Mask. You can't ignore this because you can pick that up as a Trunks or a Goten. So if you're playing a Gotenks related build with Gohan, this is a card you have to look at for 10k and the ability to fulfill different conditions. But then you have the drop setup, or what I like to call, and that's Kibito. One drop, put 3 cards. It's Wild Mill, which I kind of dislike, but it does hyper speed. Now the card I'm really on about is Pan. Everything about it is perfect. Draw 2, discard 2. You get to selectively set up your drop. It's a human or an earthling, so you can bring it back with Peel Off or Videl, and it's a 10k. There is nothing better to me than this card in this deck. I love it. And then we're going to talk about the solid removal. Outside of your Gohans and your Gotenkses and things like that, you do have Sinister Sickle. I think Sinister Sickle will still be very important. I think Jiren got a lot of buffs. I think Black got a lot of buffs. I think Sinister Sickle is still a card that you need to have in the deck. And then you got Legend of the Strongest Sword. Like I said in the previous video, if you can use this card, your deck is probably very combo light, and that's going to leave you open to get reamed by decks that can go wide and Black's aggression, especially Babies and Bardock's and GT Goku's. Black is going to be strong this set. Then you've got Fortune Teller Baba. I think that there being two drop Vegetas that you can bring out with this is not worth playing this card. And then by the time you have 10 or more cards in the trash, this card is not worth using. I'm just letting you know. If the Gotenks is iffy, this card is definitely not it. And then you've got Vegeta, and Vegeta is just like permanent, like, yeah, he's just a 25k attacker, and he mills your top card. Again, this is not what I'm trying to do when I have 10 or more cards in the drop. And then lastly, well, almost lastly, we have this Son Gohan. I told you guys in the last video, his stats are primed for being removed. He will never stay on the board to make his account work unless your opponent's already bricking. And if your opponent's already bricking, you're already winning. You know what I'm saying? And then lastly, we got this Vegito. He was one of the best cards in blue in set 2, if not the best card in blue in set 2. Set 3, he was not very sticky because of Sphere of Destruction and the other things like 10 times Kamehameha. Every color got cards that can deal with them, even Final Explosion. It's no different this set. In fact, those decks are all better, and I just don't see Vegito ever sticking to the field when he needs to, so I'm not really feeling him. But yeah, that is my breakdown of the Gohan archetype and kind of rating those cards. Let me know what you guys think, and we're going to keep it going in all avenues. Why don't you guys go over and check out the Patreon if you want that deeper look into Gohan, see where my head is when it comes to these builds. Then tomorrow we're going to have the green Vegeta archetype breakdown. We're going to have the green full reveals. We're going to go into Patreon and do more in-depth Nats prep competitive talks about green. Once we're done with all the colors, we're making all the deck lists, we're testing it, we're putting those up on Patreon, and also Patreon and I, we're doing our team testing nights, at least 2 a week, and probably more. I mean, I'm trying to get as many games as possible because I'm topping Nats. That's just it. And with that being said, I will see you guys in the next video. Look out for green tomorrow, and I hope you guys have been enjoying the content. Later.